There is a big loophole in the law. Juvenile criminals almost never go to jail. Even if they kill people or commit terrible crimes, their punishment is still too light. This loophole has led to more and more criminals under the age of 18 appearing. They openly kill, steal, or even fall into vices without fear of the law. That is why juvenile crime has become a nightmare for judges. Today, this judge is being interviewed. She told the camera that Korea has more than 3,300 judges, of which only more than 20 are in charge of juvenile courts. These more than 20 judges have to deal with more than 30,000 juvenile criminals every year. The male reporter wearing glasses asked Huns why she worked as a judge for juvenile criminals. Her answer surprised everyone. The reason was simple: she hated juvenile criminals. After the interview ended, Hunso was transferred to the new department to take up her position. At this time, the camera lens turned to the outside of the building. Countless people were shouting slogans to abolish the juvenile law. They did not want the law to protect these juvenile criminals too much. On the first day of work, Hunso immediately encountered a big case. Colleagues Taeju and Hunso shared the same office, so they were both called in urgently. Chief Judge Kang investigated the news of the case. A teenager named Song Woo had accidentally killed someone. The details of the case were extremely tragic, but because he was not yet 14 years old, he was protected by the juvenile law. This case, whether it was punished lightly or severely, would cause different opinions. Chief Judge Kang decided to transfer this difficult case to Hunso. Hunso did not say much. After returning to her room, she began to research the case. While Hunso had not finished reviewing the case files, her colleagues invited her to go out for a meal. It turned out that the new department had a tradition that every time a juvenile delinquent was released from prison, they would organize a meal to celebrate. Hunso's silence was in stark contrast to her colleagues' joy. Her colleagues cheered on the children to help them regain their confidence. At this time, the juvenile delinquent, So-mi, was called a thief by another guest, and the two sides argued back and forth. Hunso was in a hurry to research the case, so she suggested that everyone call the police. After that, Hunso turned around and left. Taeju chased after her, criticizing Hunso for not caring about So-mi's feelings, thinking that her actions were too rude. At this time, a male colleague ran over, reporting that the other guest's wallet had been found. After everyone returned, So-mi immediately apologized to Hunso, but Hunso refused the apology. Hunso pointed out that So-mi had many wallets on her. It turned out that Hunso had witnessed So-mi's theft. The atmosphere suddenly fell silent. The colleagues heard that Hunso was famous for her strict judgment. Only when they encountered this incident did they realize her terror. Finally, the day was coming for Hunso to show her skills. The trial of Sungwoo's case began. Sungwoo suffered from a mental disorder, which caused him to have serious psychological problems. Sungwoo had a period of time when he was so sick that he had to be hospitalized and take medication. During the trial, Sungwoo told Hunso that he had taken medication on the day of the incident. However, after taking the medication, he had severe hallucinations. At that time, Sungwoo met a friend who lived in the same area. That friend wanted to borrow his cell phone, so Sungwoo took his friend home. On the way back, the other party was extremely noisy, so the boy's hallucinations suddenly became worse. In the end, the boy accidentally committed a murder. Sungwoo also realized his age advantage. Sungwoo was sure that he would not be punished severely, so he laughed extremely happily. This made the court staff extremely angry. When the first trial ended, the prisoner's mother rushed over. As soon as she arrived, the mother used her son's age as an excuse to defend herself to the judge. The mother also asked when Sungwoo would be released. After Hunso asked Sungwoo's mother a few things, she knew that Sungwoo and the boy's mother had never visited the victim's family. Hunso was extremely angry. Hunso loudly yelled at Sungwoo's mother that she should at least go to the victim's house to apologize, and then she should come back here to talk to Hunso. When the second trial opened, Hunso realized Sungwoo's lie. After several sleepless nights of research by Hunso, she discovered that people with mental disorders like Sungwoo cannot concentrate for long periods of time. Hunso confirmed that Sungwoo's method of committing the crime was quite complicated, completely different from what he had confessed. Moreover, the boy also understood juvenile law very well. Sungwoo knew very well that the boy did not necessarily lie to reduce his sentence. Perhaps someone else had committed the crime, or Sungwoo had an accomplice. In short, the boy was taking the blame for someone else. Hunso also investigated the chat history and discovered that before and after the incident, Sungwoo frequently contacted a girl named Jae-gen. Moreover, the elevator camera also recorded Jae-gen talking to the victim. But recently, Chief Judge Kang is preparing to enter politics. He is afraid that Hunso's wrong investigation will affect him, so he firmly refuses to investigate this case further. Fortunately, at this time, the handsome male colleague is on Hunso's side. The male colleague feels that Hunso's Seo's argument is very reasonable, and he even personally goes to the place where Sung-woo confessed. When he checks the security camera, he finds that Sung-woo once turned his head, as if he was looking at someone. He looks at the camera on the opposite side of the street again, and sure enough, he has discovered the person Hon-seo suspects. This girl named Jae-gen is a high school student, the female criminal who specializes in stealing wallets. So-mi also goes to the same school as Jae-gen. Tae-ju, thanks to his relationship with So-mi, asked about the internet cafe that Jae-gen often goes to. Next, Tae-ju and Hon-seo split up to act. Tae-ju went to Jae-gen's house, and Hon-seo went to the internet cafe. Hon-seo indeed met Jae-gen. The next developments were more complicated than Hon-seo had imagined. Jae-gen's parents often did business abroad. After they knew that Hon-seo was investigating their daughter, they directly invited the largest law firm in Korea to handle the case. The lawyer of this law firm and Hon-seo were acquaintances. Under the obstruction of the other party, the case became more and more complicated. Jae-gen stated that she did not know anyone named Sung-woo. Hon-seo directly presented the call history of the two people. As a result, the lawyer sitting next to Jae-gen asked Hon-seo to respect personal freedom. Hon-seo did not fall into a passive position because of this. Hon-seo took out the camera recording of Jae-gen and Sung-woo talking to each other in the elevator and the chat history, plus Sung-woo's previous criminal record. Jae-gen had stayed overnight at the internet cafe, then she went everywhere to commit crimes. In the end, they decided to temporarily detain Jae-gen. A few days later, Chief Judge Kang knew that Hon-seo and Tae-ju had secretly investigated and arrested people. He immediately called the two to his office and scolded them. Hon-seo immediately retorted that these children were not international criminals or serial killers with extremely high IQs. They were young, but had already begun to use tricks to oppose the judiciary. If they were not dealt with, they would increasingly disregard the law when they grew up. Hon-seo was only protecting the truth and justice. Hon-seo also asked Chief Judge Kang what he had to be angry about. Chief Judge Kang was immediately silenced by her words, and in the end, he had to let Hon-seo do whatever she wanted. Hon-seo then investigated the foreign software that Sung-woo used to talk to Jae-gen. Hon-seo immediately told her colleagues to continue investigating the boy's activities on this software. On the other side, the handsome Tae-ju found Sung-woo's mother. Tae-ju said that the biggest suspect at the moment was Jae-gen. Tae-ju hoped that the boy's mother could convince her son to tell the truth so that his sentence would be reduced. The case had just had a little hope when the lawyers used the media to attack Hon-seo. Hon-seo talked about the pain of the family of the juvenile delinquent who had been tried by Hon-seo. People criticized Hon-seo's way of working as too formal. Next, they brought up Jae-gen's case, criticizing Hon-seo for investigating too deeply. Chief Judge Kang got angry when he heard the news. He had a headache and handed the case over to Tae-ju, and Hon-seo became his assistant. But fortunately, the last time Sung-woo appeared in court, he also seriously confessed that the real culprit was Jae-gen. The boy said that when Jae-gen killed someone, he thought Jae-gen was joking. Faced with Sung-woo's testimony, Jae-gen also admitted to the murder, but Jae-gen did not admit that she had premeditated the murder. Jae-gen only said that she killed someone while losing control. Very quickly, the two children were exposed by Tae-ju. According to the information they talked about on the app before and after the incident, they only focused on talking about the camera issue, and the victim did not know if he was alive or dead. Obviously, this was a murder that had been prepared in advance. At this time, the senior lawyers invited by Jae-gen's parents began to speak up. They found a psychologist to examine Jae-gen. The doctor determined that Jae-gen suffered from depression and forgetfulness. This illness made Jae-gen think that other people's unintentional actions would harm her, so she came up with the idea of fighting back. Hon-seo did not want to sit still and let this girl fake an illness and escape punishment. Hon-seo began to separate the two criminals because their ages were not that great. This trick was extremely effective. The two children began to criticize each other. They argued so loudly that they could not reconcile. Finally, the crimes were clear. Under the advice of the chief judges Kang and Hon-seo, the court gave a severe sentence. Jae-gen was sentenced to 20 years in prison and Sung-woo to 2 years in prison. This case had just ended when Hon-seo and Tae-ju received a new case. Tae-ju had previously been in charge of a juvenile delinquent who had committed theft, a girl named Ji-won. That evening, Ji-won went to court to find Tae-ju, but unexpectedly she saw Hon-seo. Ji-won suddenly fainted on the ground. Hon-seo quickly took Ji-won to the hospital. Hon-seo realized that Ji-won had many wounds on her body, but no matter what Hon-seo asked, the girl refused to say. Hon-seo had no intention of giving up. She began to investigate Ji-won's relationship. After investigating, Hon-seo discovered one thing. Ji-won's father's violent personality was the cause of everything. Ji-won's relatives advised her to endure it to hinder the progress of the case. Hon-seo also did not file a complaint from the victim. This type of family relationship case is is very difficult to solve. Finally, Honso thought of a way. Honso decided to lock Ji-won away from her parents and family. Then she collected evidence to put the violent man in jail. Tae-ju did not agree with Honso's way of doing things. He thought that Ji-won did not commit a crime, so she could not be arrested. Tae-ju criticized Honso for always using too harsh measures when handling juvenile cases. Honso asked Tae-ju back, "What is the reason for the state's special tolerance towards minors?" Tae-ju pondered for a moment before answering her that the whole world could convict minors, but the only ones who could help them were them. Honso understood that they were people from the judicial system, so Tae-ju's words deeply moved Honso. But this time, Honso wanted to quickly resolve this case, so she still decided to do it her way. Honso told Ji-won that the ultimate goal of this plan was to help her not have to go through days of fear, and that the guilty person should receive appropriate punishment. In the end, based on Ji-won's testimony, plus the evidence of her grandmother's recording, Ji-won's father was convicted and arrested. Ji-won and her grandmother had always lived in fear, but this time, even strangers supported and protected them. The grandmother felt guilty and handed over the evidence to the police. At this time, Ji-won's father was angry and was about to hit someone, but he was stopped by Tae-ju. This warm Tae-ju also seems to have a secret that no one knows about. In the middle of the night, Honso went to find his handsome colleague who was drinking on the side of the road. During the process of solving the case, the two went from being enemies to gradually understanding each other. Tae-ju began to tell his own story. Tae-ju had a terrible teenage years, and then he accidentally hurt someone. Fortunately, Tae-ju had the help of the judges, thanks to which he was able to gradually walk on the right path. From then on, Tae-ju was determined to help juvenile delinquents so that they could become useful people. Sadly, Tae-ju has now lost contact with the judge who helped him. Now he can't even remember the face of his benefactor. At this point, the camera turns to Chief Judge Kang. Chief Judge Kang has made a decision. He decided to leave the court and officially enter the political field. The next day, Chief Judge Kang, Honso and Tae-ju went to inspect a cooperative institution together. After the court made a decision, they usually handed over the juvenile offenders to another agency for management. Therefore, they needed to periodically check on the children's situation. The three of them had just reached the gate when Tae-ju suddenly received a phone call from a colleague. Someone reported that the cooperative institution mistreated juvenile offenders and that they had also embezzled donations. Coincidentally, the agency that was being accused was the place the three of them were going to inspect today. On the surface, Tae-ju still appeared happy and greeted manager Seon-ja. After that, Tae-ju told Chief Judge Kang and Honso all the news about the abuse. Chief Judge Kang said that they didn't need to worry because the court received similar phone calls every day. The family members of the prisoners often called to report like this. They wanted to prove that their children's living conditions were not good. Then they used that as an excuse to pick them up. At this moment, a member of the National Assembly who was quite close to Chief Judge Kang sent a message to meet him. Chief Judge Kang quickly handed over today's work to two subordinates and left. The subsequent investigation made Honso and Tae-ju extremely tense. All the juvenile delinquents accused Seon-ja of feeding them spoiled rice. Not only that, Seon-ja also forced them to work as maids for her relatives. But the truth was that these children did not want to eat rice, and they also forced Seon-ja to meet their demands. As for Seon-ja forcing the children to work as maids, she only wanted to help them build good relationships with the local people. After all, no one likes a group of children with criminal records living near their home. But Seon-ja is not completely innocent. Seon-ja admitted that she used the donated money for personal purposes. At night, Honso and Tae-ju went to the hospital again. A girl who lived near Honso's house recently had to have surgery. Here, Honso knew new information. This girl was attacked by a juvenile delinquent and had to be hospitalized. She was helped by Seon-ja's donated money to have emergency surgery. In this girl's eyes, Seon-ja was an angel. After that, Honso decided to go back to talk to Sona, but when she arrived, she discovered that the place was extremely messy. Only Seon-ja's daughter was left in the house. Honso asked and found out that Seon-ja had fainted and had been taken to the hospital. In a fit of anger, Honso chased all the juvenile delinquents away. The girl resentfully told Honso that because her mother was taking care of those criminals, her father divorced her mother. She and her younger sister always had to live in a situation lacking love from their parents. The girl always wanted to find a way for the juvenile delinquents to hurt themselves. After listening carefully for a while, Honso finally understood the problem. It turned out that the person who called to report Seon-ja's embezzlement of public funds was her daughter. This child did so because she didn't want her mother to continue her current job. Tae-ju was protecting Seon-ja at the hospital when he suddenly received a call from Honso. Only then did he know about the mass prison break of the juvenile delinquents. They worked hard all night, and in the end, they only found one female criminal. A few days later, the case made progress. One of the escaped prisoners called Seonja's house. This time, the court had almost all the locations of the escaped prisoners. In the end, they found almost all of the escapees, although they still hadn't caught the mastermind, Rae-yoon. Hoon-seo was still very confident that they would catch her. It turned out that the incident of a prisoner calling Seonja for help was discovered by Rae-yoon. At that time, Seonja and Rae-yoon had talked to each other for a while. Rae-yoon's mother had called Seonja to inform her that she was seriously ill. She hoped that when Rae-yoon was released, Seonja could take Rae-yoon to her younger brother's house. If Rae-yoon knew that her mother's condition was getting worse, she would definitely come to visit her mother. Now, Hoon-seo and Taeju just needed to go there, and they would definitely catch the person. So Seonja and Hoon-seo immediately set off there. The person had already been found, but the scene before their eyes was heartbreaking. Rae-yoon's mother was not sick at all. It was because she wanted to build a new family with another man that she lied to get rid of her daughter in prison. In the end, they found all the juvenile delinquents. On the way back, Hoon-seo and Seonja mentioned the main reasons for children's crimes. Children's mistakes are related to adults. Many times children intentionally do wrong to get their parents' attention. Hoon-seo just silently listened to Seonja speak. Finally, Hoon-seo told the story of Seonja's eldest daughter calling to accuse her mother of stealing public funds. At this time, Hoon-seo also reminded Seonja that although Seonja took care of the criminal children on behalf of the parents of the prisoners, she did not care about her daughter's feelings. At this time, Hoon-seo touched the secret deep in the other person's heart. A long time ago, Seonja lost her unborn child. After that, Seonja truly considered the criminal children as her own children. Seonja cared for them with all her heart. She considered them as her own children. The eldest daughter understood her mother's suffering, so she always hoped that her mother could heal and be happy again. The other party's words made Seonja cry silently. When Seonja met her eldest daughter again, the wound in her heart was healed. After this incident, Seonja was not severely reprimanded because the responsibility of taking care of juvenile prisoners was originally the responsibility of the state. Due to the shortcomings of the relevant departments, they put the responsibility on the shoulders of a woman. Those who do management work like Seonja did not benefit at all. After Seonja quit her job, they could find someone else to replace her in managing the children. Then Hoon-seo tried the case of the juvenile prisoners escaping from prison. At the same time, Hoon-seo emphasized that the parents of the children were required to attend a parenting course. They also had to shoulder the responsibility of taking care of their children, especially Rae-yoon's mother. She was the one Hoon-seo mentioned directly by name. After the case ended, the director went to see Chief Judge Kang to talk about an extremely difficult exam leak case. The Chief Justice had to confirm many times that Chief Judge Kang had nothing to do with this case. Then he felt secure in handing over the case file to Chief Judge Kang. Chief Judge Kang suggested that after the case was over, he would resign to live a new life. After nightfall, Chief Judge Kang received a phone call. At this time, Chief Judge Kang began to worry. His son called to report that the police had come to his house to arrest the boy. Chief Judge Kang asked and found out that his son was involved in the exam leak case. Chief Judge Kang immediately returned home. He found out that the matter was not serious. The police were investigating a recent case, so they conveniently came to his house to ask, but he already knew that his son was involved in the exam leak case. Of course, he would not let it go easily. His wife hurriedly explained that her son had only participated in cheating once, and the identity of the participants was confidential. Only the Minister of Education had the list. Chief Judge Kang immediately had a headache. Everyone was paying attention to this case. If the sentence was light, they would only be criticized by the people. But if the sentence was heavy, the Minister of Education would remember it and find a way to take revenge. A few days later, Chief Judge Kang was extremely worried. The parents of the students involved in this case were all powerful people. This case was already difficult to solve, but now it was even more difficult. Most importantly, Hoon-seo always put justice first, so it was extremely difficult to get a light sentence. At this moment, an unexpected situation occurred. A Liberal Party member who was very close to Chief Judge Kang had recently lost power, so he revealed the news that Chief Judge Kang was also a member of the Liberal Party. Furthermore, he also revealed to the public the news that Chief Judge Kang was about to run for election. At night, the central figure of the Liberal Party asked Chief Judge Kang to go out to eat. He told Chief Judge Kang to handle this case well, so that the power of the Liberal Party would grow stronger and stronger. Not long after, Chief Judge Kang received another shocking news. Chief Judge Kang's son, not wanting to affect him, planned to end his own life. He almost caused a big disaster. After being scolded by his wife, Chief Judge Kang looked back at himself. Previously, because of his son's performance, he had scolded his son countless countless times. The son only slept 3 hours a day and spent the rest of his time studying. Even so, his son's performance still could not satisfy his father. The main reason why the son committed a crime was also the pressure from his father. His wife begged him to give up his useless fame to protect his son's future. In the end, Chief Judge Kang decided to have nothing to do with the Liberal Party anymore. He planned to expose the actions of the Minister of Education. Unexpectedly, when he knew about it, the leader of the Liberal Party decided to stand behind him and support him. The reason was very simple. The Liberal Party had already made public the news that Chief Judge Kang had joined their party. Now that Chief Judge Kang had withdrawn, it would have a negative impact on the reputation of the Liberal Party. For the leader of the Liberal Party, truth and justice were not important. Achieving results was the most important. Then Chief Judge Kang secretly sought out the Minister of Education. Chief Judge Kang taught him how to deny all the evidence they presented in court. Just like that, the trial began to spiral out of control. Chief Judge Kang accepted all the evidence that was favorable to the Minister of Education. The teachers' accusations against the Minister of Education were all dismissed. And these teachers also lost their qualifications as witnesses. After Hun So knew about this incident, she personally went to the office of Chief Judge Kang to ask about the situation. As a result, Chief Judge Kang was furious like never before. The reason was not for justice, but for his son. During the trial presided over by Hun So, a new detail emerged. A male student accidentally revealed the number of people involved in this case. The Minister of Education had once stated that the total number of people involved was 21. However, this male student said that he had once overheard that the number of participants was 24. Hun So was already full of doubts about this case, and now her doubts were even greater. Hun So decided to start the investigation from the beginning. There were 3 students who participated, but later withdrew. This proved that these 3 students had originally had very good results, and they did not rely too much on the leaked exam questions. Hun So thought about the students the Minister of Education had chosen to leak the exam questions. Hun So saw this case as an investment. The students selected were all children of high-ranking officials. Hun So and Tae-ju began to investigate more carefully. Later, they knew that something had happened to Chief Judge Kang, so they specially went to the hospital to visit him. At the same time, Hun So also mentioned the suspicious points she had just discovered. Chief Judge Kang angrily criticized Hun So for complicating things. However, Hun So used a sarcastic tone to tell Chief Judge Kang to confess. Hun So's short statement completely shocked Chief Judge Kang because Hun So had no direct evidence. Chief Judge Kang ignored her warning. When the trial began, Chief Judge Kang still tried to defend the jury's suspicions about his son. After the trial was unexpectedly postponed, everyone present at the trial realized that something was wrong. The incident that happened next caused Hun So to be heavily criticized. The students involved in the case have collectively dropped out of school. If this continues, the students who are currently studying at the school will be the ones who will be most affected. If this situation continues, the school will arrange a re-exam to prove the students' abilities. But the school has quite a few students who are about to graduate. Some are preparing to continue their studies, while others are preparing to start working. This re-exam will definitely disrupt their plans. That evening, the leader of the Liberal Party enthusiastically invited Chief Judge Kang to go drinking. The incident of the students collectively dropping out of school has a lot to do with the results of Mr. Kang's election campaign. Originally, Chief Judge Kang was gradually gaining the upper hand, but he could not have expected that a thief would break into his house at this time. Hearing that Chief Judge Kang's son had just woken up, Hun So immediately went to visit him. Hun So's purpose was very clear. She wanted him to provide her with evidence. The boy cried and whispered that he could not betray his father, but Hun So told him that he could not leave the innocent students affected by this. They were the ones who were being unfairly treated. Children are not bad people after all. The boy was convinced by Hun So's words. Finally, the boy agreed to give a statement. Hun So then rushed to the director to accuse Chief Judge Kang. When the director called him, Chief Judge Kang was extremely angry. The one who caused all this was Hun So, but the one who made Chief Judge Kang stop being angry was also Hun So. Hun So took out the juvenile protection law that Chief Judge Kang had amended 5 years ago. Before this incident, Chief Judge Kang was the type of person who persevered in justice. He always tried hard to research juvenile law. He wanted to join politics, just speak up for the juvenile delinquents. Hun So hoped that Chief Judge Kang would amend the juvenile law for the children, not for any other reason. His actions now meant that he was destroying the children's future. In the end, Chief Judge Kang's righteousness won out. He decided not to cover up for his son anymore, and then he personally handled the case. When Chief Judge Kang left the court, Tae-ju came to see him off. A long time ago, a child who had been in prison took a photo with with him. Now the boy had grown up and personally handed him the photo. The two people in the photo were Chief Judge Kang and Tae-ju. That year, Chief Judge Kang had helped Tae-ju tie his shoelaces. Now when they met again, Tae-ju had personally tied Judge Kang's shoelaces. This scene was really touching. Chief Judge Kang looked at Tae-ju and said thank you. Now Tae-ju has become an excellent judge to guide other juvenile delinquents. This can be considered as Tae-ju repaying the favor of Chief Judge Kang in the past. Actually, when Tae-ju was first transferred here, Chief Judge Kang recognized him, but because he was worried about Tae-ju's feelings, he did not say anything. The two of them treated each other like strangers. In the end, Tae-ju bowed for a long time towards the back of Chief Judge Kang as he left. Chief Judge Kang also left a farewell letter for Hoon-seo. In the letter, he especially emphasized that he did not hate her. He hoped that one day the two of them would meet again. This unexpected separation made people regretful. Unfortunately, when everyone had not yet gotten over their sadness, an unexpected incident happened. Previously, Tae-ju had helped a child with a criminal record named Jo-seok, and now Jo-seok had forged a driver's license. The car Jo-seok was driving was also noticed by the police. During the escape, Jo-seok caused many accidents. A shipper was seriously injured, and Jo-seok himself was in a deep coma. In court, the group of students testified that Jo-seok forced them to get in the car to go out. Jo-seok's mother cried silently. She criticized the group of bad students as the masterminds. They often invited her son to go out. If Jo-seok didn't go, they would come to his house to bother him. Hoon-seo was having a headache because of this. Hoon-seo was walking in the hallway when she suddenly met the newly appointed chief judge, who was Joon-hee. The two had a not-so-good past. Joon-hee had just left when Hoon-seo suddenly received some very bad news. Jo-seok's condition had taken a turn for the worse, and the hospital confirmed that the boy had become a vegetable. Tae-ju was someone who had a very good relationship with Jo-seok. After receiving the news, Tae-ju immediately collapsed, and he cried a lot that night. After that, Tae-ju and Hoon-seo began to investigate further. The two discovered that the students who accused Jo-seok had deleted all the content they posted on social networks. Furthermore, during the process of questioning the person who rented the car to Jo-seok, he said that when Jo-seok came to rent the car, he was with a female friend. Through comparison, they found that it looked very similar to a girl who was also in the car. The girl's name was Mizu. Then the court received a USB. The person who sent this USB was Mizu. Everyone immediately watched the content inside the USB. The content in the video was the scene of Jo-seok being beaten. This video proved that Jo-seok's mother's words were true, but unfortunately, this video had no sound. Hoon-seo immediately sent the USB to confirm whether the content inside was real or fake. The result Hoon-seo received was that the video had not been edited. More surprisingly, the sound had also been restored. When reviewing the video, Hoon-seo suddenly discovered something strange. Jo-seok begged the person who beat the boy to delete some photos. It just so happened that Hoon-seo didn't have any court hearings today, so she started questioning each student one by one. When questioning female student Mizu, Hoon-seo told everyone to stop recording because Mizu was an important clue. It was Mizu who sent the USB to the court. Hoon-seo assured Mizu that she wouldn't bring her words to court as evidence. Finally, Hoon-seo knew the truth. Simply put, this was a group of bad students. They forced Mizu to take nude photos and send them. Jo-seok wanted to help her best friend delete all those photos, so those students hated the boy. In the end, they committed a crime against the boy. The incident was so serious that Hoon-seo advised Mizu to go to court as a witness. At the same time, the shipper had a car accident and unfortunately passed away. The nature of the case became more and more serious. Hoon-seo brought out the video of Jo-seok being beaten as evidence. She clearly proved the inhumane actions of those students. But unfortunately, Mizu could not stand up to testify, so the court lacked direct evidence to convict. In the end, the chief Joon-hee ruled that due to the lack of direct evidence, a conviction could not be made. These children helped Jo-seok forge his ID card and driver's license, and then the boy caused serious consequences. The case was originally supposed to be a criminal homicide, but in the end, it was reduced to the lowest sentence. Leaving the court, Mizu was completely desperate. Minzu thought of Hoon-seo's last words. When faced with an unexpected accident, most drivers would turn the steering wheel in the other direction to protect themselves. Jo-seok, wanting to protect others, endured the pain alone, and the boy seriously injured himself and became a vegetable. Mizu felt guilty and could only cry. Unfortunately, Jo-seok could no longer hear her cries. In the following days, Hoon-seo was still in a heavy mood. She received a new case that had recently happened. After seeing the content of the case file, Hoon-seo fainted. Although Hoon-seo's body had not fully recovered, she hurriedly went back to work because she took this case very seriously. According to the chief judge's description, this case was a brutal murder. The victim was deceived and eventually raped. The victim vaguely remembered that 4 people had raped her, but because they had gotten her drunk, she could only remember remember the faces of 3 people. DNA was found on the victim's body, and 2 of the 4 criminals were identified. Among them was a child named In Ryum. In Ryum said that he was with her, but he did not participate in the case. Furthermore, the investigators also did not find In Ryum's DNA on the victim's body. This case was assigned to Hanso. Taeju also felt Hanso's stubbornness towards this case. During the investigation, they discovered one thing. When he was young, In Ryum threw bricks from a high floor, leading to the murder. At that time, the judge in charge of the case was Geun-hee. Later, Taeju and Honseo received new evidence, which was a recording of the victim's father while questioning In Ryum. In Ryum admitted that he drank too much at that time, so he could not rape the victim. In a fit of rage, the victim's father beat In Ryum. The struggle made the recording violent, so they could not use it as evidence to accuse In Ryum. The events that followed explained why Honseo was particularly interested in Ryum's case. Honseo's ex-husband came to court. He warned her not to violate the common rules they had set. It turned out that the person In Ryum accidentally killed years ago was the son of Honseo and her ex-husband. According to the agreement the two had made, Honseo could not directly participate in the trial of In Ryum's case. But now Honseo doesn't care that much. At that time, In Ryum was acquitted because he was still a child, but the boy didn't know how to repent. After the boy accidentally killed Honseo's son, he committed many more crimes. It was for this reason that Honseo hated the young criminals so much. Very quickly, the day came for In Ryum to appear in court. In Ryum kept insisting that he had tried his best to dissuade his accomplices and that the boy had not gone to the construction site, but Honseo had prepared in advance. She showed the video recorded from the dashcam of a car parked nearby. The video proves that In Ryum is also one of the criminals. Because of providing false testimony, the nature of the case has changed. Honseo affirmed that she will raise the level of the case to a higher level. In court, Honseo suffered 2 major shocks in a row. The victim remembered the name of the 4th perpetrator, who was the accomplice who threw bricks on the street with In Ryum, killing her child. Honseo was still in shock when her ex-mother-in-law rushed over and slapped her daughter-in-law. She blamed Honseo for not taking good care of her children back then, and now she made her son worry so much that he couldn't find a new love. Honseo pretended to be calm and turned around to leave. Only when she got to a place where no one was around did she sit down on the ground. She cried a lot. The mother, after many years, still couldn't get over the trauma of her son's death. Honseo was the most pitiful victim. Honseo's past story was spread everywhere. The lawyer, after grasping the situation, also asked Honseo to withdraw from this case. At this time, Geun-hee just remembered that she had met Honseo a long time ago. After that, Honseo and Geun-hee faced each other and criticized each other. Geun-hee still did not feel that she had handled the case lightly that year, but Honseo coldly said that from the beginning to the end of the trial that year, it was only 3 minutes, and at the end of the trial, the thing they discussed was what to eat. Honseo also asked Geun-hee what she wanted them to learn. They learned the law and still behaved like that, so next time she can just ignore the law, right? Geun-hee could not talk back. In the end, she used her power to prevent Honseo from participating in this case, but Honseo did not give up. She immediately ran to find Taeju. Honseo wondered why the victim suddenly remembered the identity of the 4th person. Taeju said that he had handled a case before. A juvenile delinquent provided information that Do-hyuk was the leader of the gang of bad students. Do-hyuk often led his gang out to cause trouble and fight. Honseo immediately investigated Do-hyuk. She discovered that Do-hyuk's girlfriend was also a juvenile delinquent. The girl showed great hatred for Do-hyuk. As soon as Honseo mentioned Do-hyuk's name, she immediately told Honseo all of her boyfriend's crimes. Do-hyuk's gang was actually a crime-ridden place. Not only did they attack girls, but they also forced them to commit fraud and blackmail them with videos. Honseo got the address Do-hyuk's girlfriend provided and went to their base. As a result, Honseo was attacked by Do-hyuk. In the midst of the danger, the police showed up in time and arrested them all. Honseo also told the chief judge Geun-hee all the new clues. Although she was a little worried when she saw Honseo injured, she still insisted on her point of view. Solving the case is the responsibility of the police, while the judge is only responsible for the trial. She believed that Honseo should not participate in this case. Although she said that, Geun-hee was also moved by Honseo's sense of justice. Geun-hee's thinking also changed somewhat. Afterwards, the court summoned Do-hyuk to testify. Do-hyuk was afraid and did not dare to stand up and denounce his accomplices. However, Taeju soon obtained a statement from the remaining accomplice. The 2 boys were so scared that they named Do-hyuk and In Ryum. Seeing this, In Ryum quickly pushed all the responsibility onto Do-hyuk. The 2 started to fight. In the end, the 4 evil criminals received the appropriate punishment of the law. The victim was finally comforted somewhat. Geun-hee also apologized for her incorrect work philosophy. The court then held a meeting to review Hon-seo for her involvement in the work of another department. Chief Judge Kang also relied on his connections to help Hon-seo get a lighter sentence. In the end, Hon-seo was still able to keep her position as judge. Every day, Hon-seo regretted her actions. Now her job as a juvenile delinquent judge is extremely important to her. Whether these children will continue to go astray or change direction to go in the right direction, people like Hon-seo play an extremely important role. The entire content of the drama ends here. Thank you for watching. Now goodbye, and see you again.